Greetings to everyone and welcome to Typical Thoughts and Tips. For today's episode, we will be talking about this upcoming election. As we all know, election 2022 is coming and it has been one of the hottest topics on the internet as of now. Everyone seems to be excited for the next leaders of our country. But the question is, are we all registered voter here, guys?
Absolutely yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
So, for those who are listening to us right now, before we share to you our insight and knowledge about election, the first tip that we are going to give you is of course to get registered in the nearest COMELEC offices in your area before the deadline ends on October 30, 2021.
And that's right, Madam Roanne. So in this episode, we will be talking about what exactly election is. Also, if you have a question like, what is the importance of exercising a right to vote? How am I supposed to choose someone as my president? How could I know if the information I've been seeing on the internet
That's
is true?
possibly one of the biggest question mark for everyone right now. Because different types of information are accessible in just one click. Just scroll in one of your social media accounts and you will be bombarded with several infos.
Yeah.
Yes, and what makes some of it kind of unbelievable is that some of those information is a contradiction to each other.
So, without further ado, let's start now with the definition of election. In simple words, election is a decision-making process by which a population chooses individual to hold a particular role in the government.
In our case, Filipinos is part of a democratic country. We have right to vote for our future leaders,
Yes.
right? Such as the
Yes.
president, vice president, who will hold the position for the next 6 years.
But of course, we all know that it's not as simple as that. Some issues which are, of course, obviously wrong have become part of the election already. It seems like it had been so normal for us to the point that it's not a big deal anymore once we heard about it.
Sadly, that's true. And one of these issues is vote buying. Very common, right? I really don't understand
Yes.
why some people sell their votes. For me, once a vote was bought by a candidate, the essence of election is somehow degraded.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because we have this so-called election to vote for our future leaders. And we exercise our right to vote so that we could have a better government that we've been longing for ever since.
Yeah, and you know what, guys? This reminds me of last presidential election on 2016. The competition between Senator Bongbong Marcos and Leni Robredo was running for the position of vice president. There was an issue of vote buying that time. Senator Bongbong Marcos filed a complaint claiming for the possibility of vote buying because Leni Robredo was surprisingly, guys, I know you know about this, surprisingly got majority of the votes.
Yes, that is one of the remarkable happenings on our last presidential election. And for those who are listening right now, we discourage each one of you to please never sell your votes. Remember that every vote counts, every vote matters, and yours is not an exception.
I agree. Our vote should not be priced by any amount of money. It's either we receive a small amount of money that could be easily spent or we experience a better governance for the next 6 years.
So now guys, let's answer this question.
Okay.
How should we choose our future leaders then? Whom should we vote for? they're just one thing for me. Just a reminder, guys, that don't vote based on what people around you are voting for.
Yeah. I believe one of the most important things to check on is the candidate history. Who is that person? Who is he when it comes to politics? What are his platforms? And of course, someone who is
I
God-fearing.
totally agree with that. Also, I just want to add the commitment of that candidate. The unwavering commitment should be seen on him. The consistency follows who has the kind of mindset who will become the leader, who focuses on what he stands for rather than on what he is against with.
Yeah.
Everything you said is
Okay.
definitely right. What I could add on that is the importance of fact checking. Let's make sure that we are getting an information from a very credible source. It could be a newspaper blog, a journal, a research, or even an actual interview with that person. There are so many credible sources that we can check with regarding the facts. But at the same time, there are numerous unreliable sources. Please be reminded that social media is not a credible source. Don't go through an argument and end up saying to the other person that your source is Facebook or Twitter or even TikTok. Always check for legit sources.
Again, we are reminding you that exercising our right to vote is really, really important. Because if we vote, we will make a big contribution in deciding who gets to lead us and our country.
Yeah, that's right. The development and changes in our country is depend on
Never
us.
lose hope. As long as we have the opportunity to vote, there is still an opportunity for us to have a better government.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
And a better government will lead to the prosperity of our country. So, before we end this, let's talk about who you think should be the next president of our country.
I think Bongbong Marcos has the ability to face all the problems that we have right now. And as of now, sorry guys, I'm still on the process of observing them by the upcoming debate and presented platforms and and such.
Oh, actually, it's the same for me. I believe we need a leader who is brave enough to stand up for our country. And actually, I believe on Marcos's supremacy.
Well, I won't drop a name for now, but for me, the better leader to lead in this kind of situation that we are facing today is the leader who can do the best for our country and to make our lives better.
Welcome to Faith and Fury.
Thank you for listening to Give Me a Mulligan.
You have your family, you have your friends.
Good Sunday morning, and thanks so much for joining us.
Click on the podcast, download it, and listen to the whole show.
I think it's settled then. Just before we finally say goodbye, our last tip for you is to please respect other people's choice of whom they think should be the next president of our country for this upcoming election. I think that's it. Thank you for listening to our podcast, and we hope to see you on our next episode. Bye!
Bye!
Register today. Your vote matters, your voice matters.